If you guys are still playing FC24 and you want some cheap coins, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you do use my code REMA, it will give you a lovely 5% discount off your order. So, what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day so far. In today's video guys, we have some ratty custom tactics to help you out in FC24 if you are still playing the game in July. So I do hope you guys enjoy them and find them useful. Please be sure to drop this video a thumbs up just before we get into it, as it does really help me out with the YouTube search algorithm. Also sub to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos of course, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. And yeah, with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's video. I hope you enjoy. Okay then guys, so starting off with the tactics for this 3-4-2-1, it does defend in a 5-back, which makes it really ratty. So for the tactics guys, the defensive style, we have it on balanced, as it does give us the best control over our defense. You know, when we want to press high and be aggressive, we can do that, and when we want to drop off and maybe be a bit more passive, we can also do that. So I think balance gives us the greatest control, which the other settings don't give us. That being said, if you want to use pressure tactics because you're more comfortable with it, then go right ahead. Moving on to the defensive width guys, I would suggest somewhere from like 35 to 45. The reason I suggest this is because it gives you a nice, narrow and compact defense to block out all those attacks through the middle. This makes it much more difficult for your opponent to play through the middle of you, and it leaves much less gaps, if that makes sense. The reason we don't want to go any lower than this, however, is because we still need to have a decent amount of width to cover the wider areas in case the opponent goes down the wing. Now, because it does defend in a back 5 and you do have that extra player in the defensive line, you can lower the width a little bit more because you have a bit more natural width just by having 5 players there instead of 4. Moving on to the depth guys, this is a preference thing, to be honest with you. There are a few different options that you can use if you want. One of the most popular ones in this game is using 100 depth. Now the reason people like 100 depth in this game is because it basically the AI presses very high up the pitch for you automatically. You can see the defensive line, your back 4 is pretty much always positioned you know, higher up the pitch than their 2 strikers. So it's a very aggressive depth, and the AI completely presses your opponent for you. You don't have to do it manually really. It's very automatic and very overpowered. Me personally, I don't like it because I like to have a bit more control over how I defend. You know, if you're quite good defending, having it on 100 kind of takes away that manual ability for you. Similarly guys, you can use 71 depth, which is pretty much more of the same. You'll just see the back 4 is not as high up, so same tactics pretty much, like same approach, but your defensive line's a bit lower. If you're like me and you want that more manual approach, I'd suggest something like 65 or 60, where you still have that high defensive line and you just don't get that automatic press from the AI. If you want to lower it even more because you want to, you're more comfortable with that, you can do that. So it's all down to preference really. Now for the chance creation guys, I recommend balanced, as it does give you the most controlled, the most consistent and the most varied like type of build up. When you use balance guys, you can basically pick and choose between all the types of build up. So for example, slow build up, fast build up or whatever, you can basically pick between them whenever you want to use them. I think it's just the most reliable, I'll be honest. I think you get the best AI out of it, and I think these individual settings, I've said it for a while, they completely suck and they don't help. You know, slow build up is just, you know, your players move around really slowly but not in a good way. Fast build up is just very chaotic. The one you can make an argument for is long ball, but I don't really ping many long balls. Could be quite useful in this formation, but you know, I don't use it. So balanced or long ball, depending on, you know, what type of player you are. Now for the chance creation guys, direct passing is very important, as it is the only one which fits into the meta of this game, and it's the only way to consistently create chances in the state of this Park the Bus simulator. So direct passing is just a very push forward, track back kind of movement, which allows for those cutbacks and things like that in the final third, and I think it is extremely necessary. Moving on to the attacking width, this is a preference thing, but because we have like wide midfielders in this formations that act as wing backs, I do like to have a higher width just to push them a bit further out wide. I know you can use hug sidelines, but I don't really like that instruction. Feels a bit too spread out, if that makes sense. So I have my width on 60, so we've got decent coverage of the wider areas when we are attacking, which allows us to utilize those wide midfielders. The only thing you really need to know about the attacking width is obviously the lower it is, the more narrow, the higher higher it is, the wider. So I'd suggest a range between like 40 and 60, but you do what you want. Now for the players in the box, we have this on 7. This so we can get quite a few players into that penalty area, but we don't completely overcommit to the point where we're going to get counter-attacked if we lose the ball. And then for the corners and free kicks, I just have them on 3 at the moment, but again, that's another one of those things where you can do what you want with it. Now for the player instructions, guys, on the striker, we pop them on stay central and get in behind, just keeps them in the middle. We don't need them drifting out wide. We want them to be that focal point, and this is the best way to do it. So we keep them in the middle with that stay central instruction, and then we also pop them on get in behind so we can force the runs out of the player. If you have them on mixed attack and your opponent is using like some pressure tactic, they just become really stupid. I'll be honest, like they don't move. So get in behind forces runs out of this player and make sure that they move in the correct ways regardless of your opponent's tactics. Moving on to wide forwards, guys, so the left forward and the wide forward, we also have them on the same instructions as the striker for similar reasons. We have them on stay central to keep them in those narrow channels. We don't really want them drifting wide like wingers. We want them to stay in those more narrow lanes next to the striker. It keeps them in a really good position. You'll see how we get the width with the wide midfielders, but you want to keep these players in the stay central instruction, and then again getting behind to force those movements out of the player. So pretty much for all 3 forwards, they have the exact same instructions, and they'll keep the shape you see here. Moving on to the wide midfielders, guys, you can see I use 2 fullbacks here. Now the reason I do this is because, like I said, it defends in a back 5. So my suggestion for these left mids and right mids, guys, is to use really competent fullbacks or like wide midfielders and attackers that have good defensive ability and work rates as well. So Kyle Walker and Cancelo, for example, they're very good at defending and they're also very good at attacking. So these are the players you want in these positions so they can do everything. So the reason this defends in a back 5 is because when you have the left mid and the right mid on the comeback and defense instruction, they'll come back to defend more as wing backs instead of letting it defend in a 3 back. So it becomes a 5 back, which makes you much more defensively solid. Now we have these players on stay wide, the left mid and the right mid, because like I said, we have these left forward and right forwards on like the stay central instruction. So these players stay in the more narrow areas, and then on the stay wide instruction, these players will stay in the wider areas. So these are the players that are going to give you the width in this formation up and down the pit. So yeah, you want them on stay wide. Sorry, I just messed with that instruction there. So come back, stay wide, and then we also have them on getting behind so that they do utilize their pace to get down the line. You know, you don't really want them to be static because, you know, with right mids and left mids in this game, if you have them on balance support, they don't move around all that much. Now moving on to the left centre mid, the more defensive of the 2 midfielders, we have them on stay back while attacking and cover centre. This is to bring balance to the midfield. You know, I always say this, when you have like a 2 centre mid setup, you need at least 1 defensive minded midfielder to bring that balance, because if you're committing both centre mids forward all the time, you're going to be left vulnerable when you lose the ball. So you want 1 player to stay back, bring that balance. So you pop them on stay back and then cover centre, because like I said, we have wing back. We don't really need these players to cover the wing. So yeah, cover centre is the way to go. For the right centre mid, guys, we use more of a box-to-box style player. So somebody that's going to attack, defend, basically do a bit of everything. So on this player, we leave them on the default settings so that they can do what they want. Yeah, and the only thing we change is cover centre so that they will cover that middle area as opposed to the wing guys. For these 3 centre-backs, of course, we leave them alone. We don't touch them. And the keeper, we leave them alone as well. But if you want, you can pop them on comes for crosses and sweep a keeper, but it is up to you. So yeah, guys, they are my tactics and instructions for the 3-4-2-1. I hope you guys have found this useful or have enjoyed the video. If you have, please be sure to drop a thumbs up, sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. And yeah, with all that aside, guys, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys, and take care.